Howdy, howdy, howdy.
You guys like the new setup or what? What do you guys think?
Yeah, we got borders. We got flags.
Yeah, we got everything.
We got everything.
We got 3 cameras on 2 people. Is that necessary?
That's 1.5 cameras per person.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. Well, hey, welcome. Episode 11. Here we are.
Episode 11.
Yeah, we worked pretty hard this morning, or this afternoon, I should say, setting this this new setup going on. Getting everything going, getting everything set up. I'm like you said, I'm super happy with the way it looks.
I think it's been like 2 hours that we've been working at this.
Yeah.
We moved everything. I mean, we've been moving things around. We've been buying like little things to adjust.
Yeah, every episode we'll buy some new gadget to like a quality of life thing, like a USB adapter or whatever. And, you know, now we're kind of finally at a point where all of our toys have come together for a clean setup.
It's getting there, honestly. Yeah. It's really getting there. And at this point, we decided to ditch the green screen. I mean, not for good. I'm sure some episodes we can use the green screen if we're going to do a video on a certain country, and so you don't want to have all this around us. We want like slides behind us.
Like when we do Yugoslavia, we'll maybe just put Yugoslavia behind us if we ever do the fabled, mystical, elusive Yugoslavia episode. And also there are two Republican primary debates coming up in 2024.
Exactly.
CNN's going to be hosting 2 of those debates, and that will be able to be live streamed on multiple places because it'll be CNN. Maybe we'll want to put something behind us there. But I don't know. Do we even want to watch that though? Because I mean, like it's because we're going to talk about polling a little later on, but it's kind of silly because like, what's the point of a Republican debate if Trump's going to be the nominee and Trump's not at the debate? So
who could be his vice president?
I mean, that's what they're all angling for. They're all angling for Secretary of State, ambassador positions, vice presidencies.
I just find it hilarious. These people are absolutely out of their mind. You know, I absolutely like watching these people say ridiculous fucking shit.
Yeah.
But we could also have, you know, our cameras down here, and instead of having that third camera, we could have the actual. The debate.
Yeah.
So we'll make it work. We're having some fun here with lighting and everything.
Playing around with it. Cool. Well, we can get into it. How was your week?
Honestly, it was all right. It's been really busy. My tire popped yesterday out of nowhere.
Oh no.
Yeah, so I had to change that in the middle of the road at like 9:00 at night. I was actually going to go meet Ben for like a little meeting for CPUSA.
For the Mentor thing?
Yeah. And so, but then like on the way there, just pop, and I'm just like, what the hell happened?
Oh, man.
Luckily the warranty covered that.
Oh,
so
cool. Right
I'm
on.
happy about that. And then I had car sounds and other sorts of bullshit. I got rejected for a job that I applied for.
Oh, bummer, man.
Yeah.
What was the job? If you're cool saying.
It's a study coordinator position at my same.
Just like an internal promotion kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay. And
so it's more of a lateral move, but it's into a different department where I have more chance of growth.
Right. Okay. Well, very cool.
What about you? What's been going on? I know you've been busy.
Been so busy, man. It's the last week. We're doing this huge grade push. It's like the kids are all they're like grades went in today. So it's just been this massive push and a lot of grading, and it's just been busy. But it's okay. This is the last week of like real school, and then I'm off for 4 weeks. So, but yeah. So to answer your question, yeah, I'm back for 2 weeks just doing some teacher training and stuff, and then then it's winter break. So the teacher training stuff is 2 weeks long with no kids, and then 2 weeks with just winter break. So I have 4 weeks of no kids, but still 2 weeks of working. So.
I got a new cat.
I saw it on Instagram.
Yeah.
I saw your post on Instagram. You and your girlfriend posted a new cat.
Tiny little.
What's the name?
8 weeks old. Malik.
Yeah. Okay.
It's this tiny little orange cat. It's dumb as shit. I love it.
Is that the thing? I've heard somebody was telling recently that orange cats are dumb.
I love it. I love it because so we have another cat and we're trying to slowly acclimate them together, right? And the older cat is just like, well, she's not older. She's like 4 years old. She's not that old, but like, It's like, what the hell is this thing in my house? I'm like, get it out of here. She's hissing and this. Yeah, Malik's like 8 weeks old. Does not give 2 fucks. He's just running up, challenging.
That's pretty cute.
It's just like the size of your palm.
Yeah. That's pretty awesome. I wish I could have a cat. I had a cat. My dogs attack cats. I have a German Shepherd. Well, I have 4 dogs, but my German Shepherd and my Rottweiler do not do well with cats.
How old are they now?
They're old.
Yeah.
All of my dogs are old. I got my German Shepherd and Rottweiler. They were both 2 in 2016. So they're, what is that, 6, 9? 9-ish? 9 coming up on 10.
Age.
Coming up on 10, breed. Yeah. And then I have a Beagle who's also around 10 and a Chihuahua who's around 10. All my dogs are around 10.
Wow, yeah. So, I mean, maybe once the older dogs, pass.
Expire.
Expire.
Yeah.
That's a great
We
word.
can maybe once the two big dogs are gone, we can look into getting a cat.
Yeah, a little kitty.
Yeah. I don't know. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I know. I'm not really. I was never a cat person. I never had cats, but they're definitely growing on me. I'm more of a dog person, but
Right.
they're easier to take care
They're
of.
so easy. And they're so cool.
I have
A
automatic
good cat.
feeder.
Yeah. A good cat is
Like
is as good as a good dog, I think.
it's literally zero problems.
Yeah.
Like you never even have to worry about it. If you have an automatic feeder, automatic water bowl,
You got the whole thing.
You literally don't have to do anything. They can
Okay.
poop, and you don't even have to take them out. They do it themselves, and you literally all you have to do is once in a while, maybe like twice a week, scoop it out.
Yeah.
It takes 2 minutes.
Oh yeah. No, I had a little kitten for a while. It was
great.
Yeah. I didn't have anything that fancy, but I just had a little litter box, and the way I had my house set up is I had my cat, and it was very obvious from like when I got her that the dogs weren't really down. So I kind of kept like half the house was for the cat and the other half. This is before I had my wife, and we
Yeah.
Brady bunched our dogs. So I just had my two dogs. And
Before you had your wife.
before I met my wife, and
Yeah.
we conjoined our dogs, right? Because she had two and I had two. So when we got married and moved in together,
Yeah.
now I have four.
Yeah.
But back then I just had my two and then that cat, and so it was easier to kind of split my house in two, and so the cat had half the house and the dogs had kind of half the house.
Wow, it's like tribal over here.
Yeah, and because the dogs were kind of like they were sniffing at first, and they were okay the first couple of days, but then they were trying to like nip at it, and then I've watched my Rottweiler like snatch pigeons out the air and just like swallow pigeons whole and stuff. So like he's like brutal.
Woo!
He's pretty ruthless. So it's like there's no way I would ever put a kitten around around that dog.
Yeah.
And then I found a home for the cat. One of my coworkers was like super down, and so it ended up working out. But I just miss having a cat. I loved having that kitten. Before we get too far, also I want to say like, comment, share, subscribe. I realized as I was listening back in the edit the last time that we don't ever say that until the very end.
Yeah.
But for the videos, we got to say the whole share thing at the beginning.
Yeah, I think we should do it at the very beginning.
That's
too,
how.
to be
Yeah, because
honest.
we're already like 10 minutes in.
But it's
so.
like I heard like it's kind of like rude to like say that, asking somebody to do something when you haven't provided any content yet. And so I don't know, my mentality's been going like
We've
through
already
that.
provided 10 other episodes.
Yeah.
11 if you count that secret I read episode,
Yeah,
but that one
exactly.
there wasn't a video for that one. So no, I think it's fair to say, hey, give the video a like, subscribe if you're not subscribed.
Yeah.
If you're watching this on YouTube, there's an audio format. If you're driving or whatever and you want to get your fix of revolutionary rhetoric, hit us up on the audio podcast. But if you're listening audio, don't forget there is a YouTube version, and that's what we spent the first 5 minutes talking about how good we look. That's not rhetorical. Go check us out on YouTube.
This looks great. I honestly think we did fantastic.
Yeah, I think-
and we're gonna make it even better. This
Yeah.
is just we literally just put this together in.
Yeah, we just threw this together.
hours.
I was getting frustrated trying to make these stupid borders in OBS, but I got it. We got there.
We got there.
Yeah.
We got some. We'll get some more stuff going. Don't worry. But this
Well,
is just the start.
You ready to move in some news, man?
Yes.
Well, congrats on the cat. That's pretty awesome.
Thank
Sorry,
you, man.
let's circle back to that. That's pretty awesome. What do you want to start with, man? We're kind of globetrotting today. We got Russia, we got Israel, we got a whole thing on Kissinger, we got Congress, we got some polling news. We got a lot going on.
Both of us, both. I catch myself saying both a lot.
Both?
Both of us have not been really paying
Not
attention
paying
to
attention.
news.
I've just been
this
too
week.
busy.
Yeah.
I get news headlines. I have an app that just sends me like kind of like through the algorithm. They kind of send me news headlines based on like what news articles I open. So I get headlines kind of throughout the day,
Yeah.
but I'm like in the middle of teaching, so I don't really follow up with them.
I get most of my news through Twitter. Oh, I'm sorry, X, and I also get a lot through YouTube through other content creators.
Mm-hmm.
And those guys, like I don't know, Kyle Kalinske, Hassan Abi, they're like 5 videos a day or some shit. You can't keep up with those people. And so I'm basically just trying to take whatever information I can get so I can give it to you guys. Let's start off globally. Why not?
Sure.
Some stuff that went on in South America.
Yeah,
So,
Venezuela stuff, right?
dude, Venezuela, I don't know what the hell's going on. So, well, I do know a little bit. Now I have to inform you guys. So, Venezuela has recently had a referendum to ask its citizens whether or not they want to annex 2/3 of Guyana. I mean, 2/3 of another country that's neighboring it. And Guyana does not even have an effective standing military, which is kind of scary for them. It's almost another sort of imperialism. But at the other end, they have the context of, hey, this part was Venezuela over 100 years ago, more than 100 years ago. And that this part, this line that we have for current a current country was actually drawn by the British, because it used to be British Guyana, and Britain just kind of wrote, "Whoop, this is the line for the country."
Yeah, there's still French Guyana.
Yeah, there's French.
It's 2 countries over, but French Guyana is still there. So yeah. So for those of you who are American and unfamiliar with geography, not to just blanket Americans as being dumb with geography. If you're looking at South America, the Central American kind of like that Panama Strip that connects Central America to South America, that leads into Colombia. The next country up, Venezuela, and then Guyana, and then I believe
these are all touching the Caribbean Sea.
Yeah, they're all in that Caribbean Sea, and they're all on the northern coast of you mentioned like kind of that era of imperialism. I mean, yeah, when you start like looking at your neighbors and start annexing, that's real. 1930s annexing Austria,
Well, their historical context is like, hey,
this
before
used to be
the
us.
British wrote the line, this was ours. But I have another, another curveball I'd like to throw in, and that is that Guyana just basically discovered a shit ton of oil off its coast,
off the northern coast.
And now they want that 2/3 of their country, and so there is that context. Remember, it's as the U.S. is trying to cheapen oil prices, which was Venezuela's downfall in the beginning, anyways. They're trying to get even more oil to take control of a larger oil market. And I also know that America recently did a deal with Venezuela. They're trying to kiss ass because Saudi Arabia wasn't too happy with us for a bit with, Jamal Khashoggi and his assassination and kind of relations falling out in between the U.S. and Saudi Arabia. They're trying to actually kiss up to Venezuela after trying to stage a fucking coup. the fucking nerve. So now Venezuela is trying to, grab more oil. I mean, I don't blame them, but in a case where you are imperializing another nation to do this, it's not okay. I'm against all imperialism, whether that is from a capitalist country, a socialist country, fucking libertarian, anarcho-syndicalist state. It doesn't matter. You should not be invading another country, especially a country that can't defend itself, that has no standing army.
Right.
So yeah, I just want to condemn that in any sorts of way. It doesn't matter if you like Maduro or not.
Yeah. Don't invade other countries.
Yes. Do not invade other countries.
Yeah. Well, I thought we were over that. I mean, I thought the rest of the world was over that. I know America still does it all the time, but you wouldn't expect a kind of like that's the idea of just invading another country and annexing territory. That's just such a kind of like that hasn't happened in almost 100 years, really. Well, I mean, I guess that's. I mean, to be fair, it happens kind of like in small, in minute places and in small kind of doses all over the world. But like just this very out and out. But also, it's strange for it to be a referendum. Like that's the strange part.
Hey guys, should we do this?
Should we do this? How do you guys feel about this?
Well, in the article I was reading from AP, I don't know how much of a bias you want to take. They are taking a very Maduro. People are questioning the voting of the referendum. I mean, well, there's good cause to question something that is an imperialist in nature. How many of those people actually want to go invade another country to seize oil? How many of those people are actually going to see the benefits of this happening? And how many of those people's votes were actually considered truthful?
Yeah.
How many were made up? We don't know. Venezuela is a country. Venezuela is a country where it's like you kind of support them, but you kind of don't. Maduro is, in those cases where you're like, oh, it's a socialist country, but Maduro has way too much power. And you're like, it's iffy. You don't know who to trust. You don't trust social media, U.S. media. But at the same time, you're like, I don't know about this Maduro guy 100% and his government.
Right.
Because it's like, is there actually fair elections over there? We don't know. They're not very open with the rest of the global world.
Yeah. Yeah, Venezuela's kind of that one country that like even, and this just could be my own kind of ignorance, but like even as like in communist circles, or at least the communist circles that I kind of run with, Venezuela's not really talked about much. We're all pretty like hip to what's going on in China, what's going on in Cuba. We had Cuban people come give a panel at here in Seattle not that long ago, and like we're connected to these places, and Venezuela is kind of this odd man out of like
Cuba has actual referendums and actual voting and actual elections, and they're very open and apparent about everything that they do.
Yeah,
they're very pro LGBT. They're very not Venezuela. Venezuela like they is like again we're questioning, are their elections valid? Not that I want to side with the U.S. Of course not. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
But I also question them too. You can question both.
Sure. Yeah. No.
You know?
Yeah. And that's the thing is like we talk about this kind of weekly is like what it means to be a Marxist is like that critical support, right? Like not taking everything just, I think it was with Ben, we had a good conversation about that, is like taking the good with the bad and kind of analyzing it and then moving forward. It's like, it's okay to criticize. That's the thing is like, you hear that a lot. And I'm kind of jumping from topic to topic, but you hear that a lot on like, on social media, at least old social media. It's like, oh, you're socialist, explain Venezuela, you must support Venezuela. And it's like, dude, first of all, you don't understand the geopolitical kind of like ramifications of American intervention in Venezuela that has caused their problems. So like, yeah, that's not a successful communist or a successful socialist state, but that's not necessarily their fault. But also, yeah, I don't just like stan all Vietnamese countries, or Vietnamese. I was looking at a Vietnamese flag in my doesn't matter peripheral, but I don't just stand all communist countries. Like it's like, you know, you take each one as it comes. That
and through historical context as well, you know, we're kind of like we lovers of the USSR, not because of what fucking Stalin did in his, you know, fucking in his bloodthirsty, you know, coups where he throws out fucking political leaders that he doesn't like, but also we're not like, oh, America is amazing, because like socialism is not Stalin, you know, socialism is an idea. And all these different types of countries, whether, you know, it'd be USSR or China, blah, 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 they have their own historical context of how they want to do things as well. You know, somebody might like Lenin more than Stalin. Somebody might like Stalin more than Lenin. Somebody might like both or neither, or nobody likes anybody after Stalin, or some of the people that like the people after Stalin, they didn't like the people before him. It depends on what you think. Some people are more authoritative. Some people are more democratic.
Yeah.
But we do stand socialist countries here that were attempted, because the whole point was like they're trying something.
They went for it. Yeah, it was all for an attempt to help people, you know, in the end. And all that being said is like, you know, I not for nothing, but I'm one to talk because I do have a DPRK flag hanging just out of frame there. So I'm like, you know what? If it is a socialist country, then I'm on board, or at least like, you know, although like I said, we do need to kind of get more into the DPRK in North Korea and see what they're really up to.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay. I mean, is there any final thoughts on Venezuela? We don't really have a whole lot of information about what's going on there, but we're definitely going to follow that story.
It just came out recently, so it'll be in the headlines if something does happen. So you won't need us. You'll be all over.
Yeah, it'll be definitely like that'll be a big news if Venezuela just decides to just invade.
If Venezuela is going to do it, it would be now.
Yeah.
Russia, Ukraine, Israel, Palestine. There's too many things happening for people to pay attention to give a fuck. You know, the last thing is people don't even know where fucking Guyana is or Suriname. I'm sorry. Like, being honest, most Americans never even heard of Guyana.
I made a big deal of my 7th graders last year to like do geography quizzes. Mm-hmm. There was like that website where they could do like geography quizzes.
Those are cool.
And I'd give out extra credit if you could get like 100 or above 80% or above 90% in under a minute or whatever. So they were like ramming through of like African countries, Asian countries, and South American countries. So
those are great.
I was pretty much like drilling my kids. I was like, you got to know where these countries are. Like, I know geography sounds silly, like, oh, you don't need to, like, it's not that important, like dates but it's important. Like, but no, geography is important. Like, it's very important. You sound silly if you don't know where in the world these things are.
Yeah.
Anyway, want to move on?
Yes.
I mean, we got a few things to talk about. We can talk about Israel for a minute. I don't know.
Let's talk about Russia just because it's
you had brought this up earlier. Yeah.
I literally just saw this, and I don't know why it's not everywhere in the fucking news. So Russia essentially, in a sense, effectively banned any sort of LGBT activities. So what they did was they banned, and how would I put this? They banned, but they also condemned any sort of sexual acts that is not of the traditional role. And they also banned all gender, quote unquote, what the article said, fixing or gender changing activities.
Yeah.
And so basically banishing and effectively making illegal to be any sort of member of the LGBTQ community.
Yeah. So this is weird because it sounds like they banned the movement itself. They labeled the LGBTQ movement an extremist organization, and like not like they didn't like make it illegal to be gay.
They did ban.
But I guess they did ban. So, but I think was gay marriage already illegal in Russia? I didn't think.
No, it was highly condemned though.
Yeah,
And
they
now
weren't super LGBT friendly to begin with. Like they've never been super LGBT friendly.
They have not. No.
Yeah, I'm kind of. You had brought this to my attention like 30 minutes ago. I hadn't heard this.
Me neither.
Yeah.
Me either. I don't know. Well, whatever. Fuck English. And so I saw that just recently. So it's how they word it in the article was strange because it made it sound like they didn't effectively ban being gay, but they banned the actions of they banned gay sex, but they didn't make being homosexual illegal. But they did ban gender any type of like gender reaffirming surgery.
Yeah, and it looks like they were pretty militant about it too. There was a bunch of raids. I don't know if you mentioned this. There was just a bunch of raids on different like gay venues, gay clubs. Like it was pretty much the Supreme Court, the Russian Supreme Court ruled, and then immediately kind of like this had to have been like they had to like prepared for this in advance. The second the ruling came down, just like a bunch of raids went off. People were like rounded up. Passports were photographed. They were kind of like, they're cataloging and kind of like collecting these people's information. Anybody that was kind of,
It's fucking crazy, man.
Yeah,
it's
wild. Yeah, it's just wild. I don't know. It's not like Russia was ever like a bastion of freedom for like,
True, but this just takes it to a whole.
But this is definitely
level.
like a whole, exactly.
And watch, you're gonna have conservatives like fucking Matt Walsh and fucking Ben Shapiro's psychotic ass. They're gonna start fucking like, oh, what Russia is doing is great. Russia is doing is what we need to do in this country.
These kind of weird rightoids are already kind of like pro-Russia, like, or at least like anti-Ukraine in this conflict and the Russia-Ukraine. They come down in support, in like a pseudo-support, lukewarm support of Russia.
Yeah, they're like,
and this is only gonna fall further. This CNN article here says it kind of sums it up really well. It is now illegal in Russia to promote or praise LGBTQ relationships, publicly express non-heterosexual orientations, or suggest that they are normal. So even to like just like express a gay relationship as
you can be gay, but anything to do with being gay or any sort of LGBTQ activity is illegal.
Yeah, well, I mean that's just further
effective. That's what I was saying earlier. They effectively banned being gay.
It's essentially banned. I mean, if there was ever any, fuck Russia, right? There's no like. Yeah, I mean, Russia, somebody, one of my kids asked me, like, isn't Russia, like, a communist country? And I was like, no. Russia,
no.
Yeah, it's
fucking Yeltsin was sucking the cocks of bankers once the fucking USSR fell. They were waiting for that.
They went, like, hard capitalist. And
that's what they did in the Yugoslavia as well. When Yugoslavia broke apart, Bosnia is more capitalist than this country, dog. Like, once you get there, you're going to realize there's zero support for anybody.
Yeah.
It's become so classist, and different in what class you are over there, that it's essentially become feudal.
Well, speaking of, I don't know. I had a word in my head, but now I don't know what it was. Sorry, I'm still tired. I'm always so tired. What I was going to say is, speaking of interference in just world politics and somebody sucking, you want to talk about Henry Kissinger? Want to do Kissinger? We had talked about Henry Kissinger. Well,
I thought you were gonna lead this from with sucking to talk about what the fuck's his name that just got banned from Congress.
Oh, George Santos. You want to do American news first?
Sure, let's do American news first.
Yeah, we can talk about George Santos.
I thought that's where you were going.
Oh no!
You're like, speaking of sucking cocks, I was like, oh shit.
Oh no, that's super homophobic. No way.
That's what I thought you were about to say.
Oh, that's not. I didn't even put that together. Oh no way, man.
No,
I don't like George Santos, but I would never go there.
I know, man. That's what you're about to say. I was like, well, that's a little harsh, but it's kind of funny.
No.
The transition.
Yeah, George Santos is expelled from Congress. Yeah, that wasn't. I think that was kind of coming down the pipeline. That wasn't going to be. That wasn't very surprising. That wasn't a.
Oh no, dude! He was a known scam artist. It was just about time.
Yeah.
Well, there was like so many things going on, but what like kind of fucked me up the most is that he basically got a hold of another congressman's credit card in a sense. He maxed it out, and his mother's not George Santos' mother.
The guy's mother.
The congressman's
Yeah.
mother's credit card and maxed it out on Botox, on cars.
He's just it's just so weird, man. It's just like I don't understand like this man, and I don't understand like how he exists in this world, because it just seems like he's this weird little gremlin that's just running around doing capers and like stealing openly, and like no one seems to. I mean, now they care. Obviously, they care because they kicked him out of Congress. But it's just so bizarre that he's been doing this for like a year and a half or whatever, and like.
Well, at least we know where the line is drawn.
Yeah. It's just so funny because, like, yeah, he's only the sixth congressman ever to be expelled from Congress, and it wasn't like close, but it also like 114 people still voted no. It was the final vote was 311 to 114, which is like a 2/3 victory, but it still seems like 114 people were still like saying no, this is fine, which is just strange. Yeah, and then
but still, man.
so he has separately pled guilty to now 23 separate federal charges against George Santos. So like he's out of Congress, and like that trouble is over. He had already announced that he wasn't going to run. Like that was like kind of his concession. He was like, fine, I won't run for re-election next time, but I'm not going to resign. And then they're like, well, if you're not going to resign, then we're going to kick you out. And so they kicked him out. But he still has these federal charges, 23 separate federal charges. And yeah, so some of these are campaign finance misuse. He's been taking like campaign finance donations and just using them as like his personal bank account, and just like buying like Botox, clothes, cars, just just exorbitant spending of basically his donors and his constituents' money. He's just spending. That's one, but also like a whole lot of other thing, like COVID-19 loans. He's under like investigation and now under charges for like mishandling. I
feel like we're in the Gilded Age.
Yeah, it's just like this is like that boss shit. Like what are those like. What were they called? Damn it, I'm blanking on the name.
What boss?
Like the New York, the Tammany
Barons?
Hall bosses, not like the robber barons, but like there was like those like the Tammany Hall like bosses, pit bosses, whatever they're called, that like ran New York and like you know what I mean?
Yeah, like laundry.
Yeah, and then these guys were just like blatant criminals, but they were all like politicians, like all the governors and mayors in New York and stuff. And it's just like they're all just such blatant criminals, and that's kind of like what George Santos has done. He's like a New York congressman he's just trying to bring back that old Gilded Age of just like open
you know what
corruption. What?
It reminds me of like Gotham City Batman, like type of corruption.
Yeah. Okay, that's a good point. Yeah, it's like just a Boss Tweed was his name. Yeah. Yeah. It's like just really Tweed. Open. Yeah, just the political machines, like just that very like buying votes and stuff, and that just feels very George Santos-y to me. Also, like
also that who was that before, the senator that was literally kicked out for like open corruption buying.
Bob Menendez.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
but he wasn't a New York senator, was he?
Where was he a senator from?
I think it was like Minnesota or something. It was somewhere random.
I don't think he was New York necessarily, but I'm just saying like that type.
New Jersey. Okay, fair enough. Yeah,
New York.
Close enough. Yeah.
Yeah, same shit pretty much.
Yeah. I don't know, and I haven't been following this like too closely. The Santos thing, like I've been pretty unplugged for a couple weeks.
I've been pretty unplugged with it too.
So like this is just like I'm getting this kind of outskirts, like chewing at the edges of this thing, and I'm just like, what the fuck is going on with George? Because I keep seeing these headlines of like all of these, and I'm like, I gotta really like just clue in and like just get back on the news.
It's just happening.
Yeah, it happens. Just the wars and just all the news, and I'm like, I've just been so busy, and I'm like, I just don't give enough of a shit. But now that I'm kind of going on 4 weeks of break, I'm going to be more attentive to the news, and I'm going to try to like follow these stories, because I still want to kind of like do a recap on Trump. I've just completely ignored all Trump news for like the last 6 months. I've just ignored Trump. Anytime I see a Trump headline, I'm just like, I don't care. Like, because it's all just about his indictments and his different federal crimes and his just different charges and stuff.
It's like beating, like you were saying earlier, like a couple episodes behind when we were talking about Israel-Palestine, like we're beating a dead horse.
Yeah.
But with this Israel-Palestine thing, it's been 2 months.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah, 2 months now, pretty much.
Yeah. October 7th. So yeah, December 7th. Yeah. Exactly 2 months today.
Yeah, 2 months today. Yeah. And so, but with Trump, we've been beating a dead horse since 2015. So it's been almost a decade.
It feels very.
We get it. We know everything about Trump. I don't know why, but I don't give a shit about what his kid's name is. But that shit's engraved into my brain now too. And so that's part of the problem. But speaking about Palestine.
Mm-hmm. Well, before we move too far away from George Santos, I just want to quickly mention too. I pulled up this note here. The Democrats have already nominated a congressman to run. There's a special election coming up in February to fill that seat. Because he got kicked out, they need to fill the seat. There was a former New York congressman named Tom, I don't know how to pronounce this, Suzy. He was a congressman for that district prior. And so I guess he retired or lost or whatever. I don't actually know too much about him. But now the Democrats have nominated him to run for that special election. The Republicans have yet to nominate anybody, so we don't know who's going to run against this former Democratic congressman to replace George Santos' seat. But that'll probably be announced pretty soon.
From what I understand, this is a blue fucking spot in New York. So I don't think anybody will actually be able to pick up that spot.
Well, how did
nobody
Santos
knows
have it in the
how
first
he
place?
picked up that spot in the first place. Everybody's confused
more
about
boss
that
tweet
as well.
shit. Like,
yeah,
I don't know, man.
More people are confused. They're like, "How the hell did he get this?" He's like, "Literally, this is a solid blue seat. I don't know how the fuck he picked this up."
Well, with that pickup and McCarthy leaving at the end of the year, resigning at the end of the year, Kevin McCarthy, like the Republican majority in the House is thinning more and more, and like there's some polling. I don't have the full numbers on this, but there was some polling that's saying that like that some of the Democratic races are looking good. So it's like people are very optimistic that the Democrats can flip the House in 2024.
True, but excuse me, but like the polling that I added on there in our notes earlier today literally had like Trump. Well, this is the national election.
Sure.
What Trump, he's leading on most of the swing states.
Yeah. Well, actually,
so,
I pulled up polling on 538. Oh, did I lose that tab?
Like I don't know how to fucking think about anything. Like I did. How far do we go to trust the actual polling?
I don't know, because like every poll I'm looking at on 538's website, polls as of December 3rd and December 5th all have Biden up. Well, Biden up one, I guess, from December 5th. But general election from last week, December 3rd, and there's some polls that have Trump up a few points. It's kind of, I guess, yeah. But then Biden up 4, Biden up 5. It's like a crapshoot. It looks like all in all, it's coming out about even as of right now.
Do you want to click on that link that I had there?
Yeah, I don't know. No, let's see. The Twitter one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on it here.
It's from an actual polling company. It's from an actual polling company, and it has...
Yeah, we got Trump up 7 in Pennsylvania, Trump up 7 in Arizona, Trump up 10 in Georgia, Trump up 10 in Florida, Trump up 9 in North Carolina, and Trump up 1 in Michigan.
And it's got like a little bar graph there, and it'll show up where it's from.
Yeah. Redfield and Wilton. This is just, so like what I was saying is like 538 takes aggregate polling from all of the big polls. So like all of the different, and
then puts it together.
The Economist and stuff, and like, so it kind of, it's an aggregate website. So
got it.
I'm not saying it's, more or less trustworthy than like any other, like,
no, 100%. But when I saw that, like that he was winning like the majority of swing states, I'm like, ooh.
Yeah. So Democrats may take House and Senate, but then lose the White House.
That's honestly that I think, in my opinion, from what I'm seeing in the past couple of months, I think that's what's gonna happen. I think we're gonna retake the House, Congress in general, but we're gonna lose the main election.
Yeah, probably.
That's what it seems like to me.
Well, those GOP debates, one is January 10th, and the other is, not to totally like switch topics, but the other is, I don't know, some other time. We should watch them.
Yeah, I mean, we're really...
Now that we have this sweet studio, we should set up we should do a live stream again with the new debates.
On YouTube, yeah. 100%.
Yeah. Okay, well, want to move on to Israel then?
Yes, let's move on to Palestine and Israel.
Yeah, and then we'll close out with Kissinger.
Yes.
Cool. I don't have too much for Israel. It was weird because I saw on social media the whole leaflet thing that IDF was dropping leaflets on southern Gaza. The name of the town, I should probably have had up. The name of the town in southern Gaza is Khan Yunis.
What happened to only bombing northern Gaza and southern?
Well, this wasn't bombs; they were dropping leaflets, but the leaflets were in Arabic.
Yeah,
and the quote apparently said it's a quote from the Quran. It's about the flood carrying away wrongdoers. But there's really no, like, people don't know why they dropped it. And like the weird thing is, I saw this all over social media, but as I was trying to pull up like information about it, no Western news outlet is reporting on this. Al Jazeera isn't even reporting on this.
I saw this on Twitter.
Yeah, I saw it on Instagram, and I'm hesitant to like,
I don't know, maybe
continue talking about this.
Maybe it's just very recent.
Yeah, I don't know, because all these articles are from a day ago or 15 hours ago or whatever, but every single article is only the Times of Israel, the Jerusalem Post. I don't know what this story means, and I think I'm going to drop this and I'm going to wave off here because I don't know anything about this, and it just seems kind of shady, and like I don't trust this reporting. I definitely don't trust the Times of Israel or the Jerusalem Post to talk about something from the IDF.
100%.
But like I don't know why they dropped these leaflets.
From what I can get, I think they might be trying to turn the people against Hamas as if the Hamas are the wrongdoers.
Right. I think they're so
fucking I think just they're so fucking deep in that shit that they do not give a fuck what the IDF says.
Yeah. So from what I understood about the leaflets, it was like that they're gonna like flood the tunnels, is like because it's like the quote is about flooding out wrongdoers or something. And so like people were like, well, does this mean that Israel's actually like their next step is like flooding the Hamas tunnels or something? I don't know. That's all speculation and me now because like as
we're just speculating what it might mean. None of this is even real. If anything happens, maybe they're just fucking with them.
You had some John Fetterman news, right?
So I don't know, like back in the day.
From Israel.
Well, yeah, back in the day when we had the Israeli-Palestine episode, I brought up John Fetterman and how he used to be a progressive candidate that was, a leftist, a strong leftist. Maybe not. He might not have been a communist or socialist, but he was like a Bernie-esque type of social democrat, right? And when this whole Israel-Palestine thing dropped, he basically dropped to his knees and said, "Oh, Israeli Lord, please giveth thy cock," and he basically turned around and said Israel is not doing anything wrong, blah 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 blah, and he keeps going, and people are attacking him. He's lost his entire leftist base, right? So he basically sold out. And just recently he had an interview with CNN where he was basically like, they basically asked him, hey, what do you think about all the deaths that's going on in Gaza? Is Israel doing any actual war crimes? He says, absolutely not. And he's like, well, war crimes is what Hamas basically did when they first started and killed, innocently slaughtered 1,200 people, right? Well, first of all, that 1,200 people, 600 of them might have been fucking killed by Israel themselves because they were basically shooting without looking where, shooting without realizing where they're aiming at, and that's a whole nother story. Where they go in, or they took orders from people to just shoot blindly. Anyways, they asked what about the 20,000 people, and just kind of just like waves it off. Did you have the video?
Yeah, I pulled up the video. I think we can, if you want to add it over us right now.
Yeah, I could add the video
edit, and then I can just add the audio in on the audio. So,
sounds good.
Yeah, I can play this video here. Hopefully, this should come through on the audio.
Let him.
Do you believe that anything that Israel has done in these 6 weeks of fighting has amounted to a war crime?
Of course not. Of course not. And it's like, let's not forget what Hamas started. They broke the first ceasefire, and then they attacked Israel and murdered over 1,200 innocent women, children, babies, everything, and brutalized it in the most unspeakable kinds of ways. And so that really is the ultimate, criminal war. Kinds of this is
I mean it's just pretty like generic, like frankly right-wing kind of talking points.
You have to remember that this guy, we had the whole leftist base in Pennsylvania and the East Coast going there and rallying for this guy as like a Bernie-crat, as a person of like, the Justice Democrats, AOC, Ilhan Omar, that sort of base. He 100% flipped. Like we got duped.
Yeah,
we got duped, and I'm so tired of these fucking people, and I'm tired of voting for
It's every single one
Democrats.
of them, dude. It's like AOC, all of them. Every single one of these people that we like
fucking flipped.
Bernie included, AOC, John Fetterman. They've all just kind of they went corporate dim like this. The second they could.
Well, Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib have spoken out against it. I have not heard shit from AOC. Yeah, really, honestly, I haven't heard shit about anything about this whole Israel-Palestine conflict.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. I don't know if she's even like mentioned anything about it.
I've seen Ilhan Omar like literally crying and yelling at people, like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?"
Has said anything about it.
But she's also Muslim, so like
so it's a little more personal. And then Rashida Tlaib has family, and I think in
Palestinian in
the
Gaza.
West Bank. Yeah, in Gaza or the West Bank.
I think you said Gaza last time. And grandma's getting bombed in Gaza.
I'll have to double check that because I thought her family's in West Bank.
Regardless, she is Palestinian, so her people are being slaughtered. Yeah. Right? So of course they're gonna have like, good lord, if you're Palestinian and you're not against what Israel's doing, you're the biggest fucking cuck I know.
Yeah.
But AOC, I mean, I don't really hear anything from AOC. I don't hear anything from any other progressive candidate. And the other progressive candidate that spoke out, well, it's not fucking progressive anymore. John Fetterman is literally just like on his fucking knees.
Yeah,
you
man,
know,
that's pretty frustrating. That's pretty annoying.
So I think a lot of people are over the whole social democracy burning wing. I think this is going to radicalize people.
Yeah, I agree. I think so too. I mean, we've already seen that huge lashing out and kind of backlash against Genocide Joe now, right? Like,
yeah,
how Biden's attitude and kind of stance toward Israel has turned off most people like left of, you know, I would have said like left of like Fetterman or who, you know, because like Fetterman wasn't ever like super leftist. He was just kind of more like working class, like union kind of pro union guy. But like anyone that was like, we talked about this already, so we don't need to really go too much into it. But basically anyone who was like even like remotely on the fence about voting for Joe Biden is completely like turned off to him. And,
yeah.
You know, like just Genocide Joe, nobody wants him anymore. And then now like for John Fetterman to be like, hold my beer, I'm, you know, going to double down on that now.
Exactly.
Like 2 months into the conflict
but
of like.
It's crazy how they're like, oh, progressive, Manchurian candidate. Press play button. What they recorded for my head to say.
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah,
like,
just go like
sympathy.
immediately pro Israel. Yeah,
like zero, like not a single like maybe we should talk to Israel. It's like no. They're just like, here's the weapons, fucking kill them.
Yeah,
right. We're not gonna do anything, and whatever you say is what we will repeat. It's like how fucking like hard are they holding the fucking Congress? How hard are Israeli lobbyists like literally holding it down? But that is, I mean, we're again beating a dead horse.
Yeah, it's just frustrating. It's just like you said, it's just so frustrating to see all these people that you would kind of like. The only thing that would kind of ever bring hope or optimism or any kind of like faith in American politics were these people, right? And like they've all immediately abandoned us, and so it's like if we ever needed a reason to just completely abandon American politics, like we have it. And like we were all on the fence to begin with, right? Like any communist or any kind of leftist or like real leftist is lukewarm about the idea of electoral politics to begin with. But we had these handful of people that were like, okay, well, most of them suck, but at least you got these guys. Yeah. And now every single one of them, one after another, has just completely like abandoned leftism. At this
point, or any candidate for that instance that I would trust at this point, if they openly said, I am socialist or I am a communist, I need that to come out of their fucking mouth for me to take them seriously at all. If they literally just said, I am a socialist or I'm a communist, then I will actually consider if I would believe them. Because anything before that, if like, oh, are you a socialist communist? If they go, I'm like, get the fuck out of here. You're a corporate stooge. I can't believe you. After all the things that happened, how is the American public going to be like, oh, let's try again? I'm like, we tried this so many times. Doesn't matter who it is. They always end up bending the knee.
Yep.
You know? And so I'm done with them. Fuck them.
Yeah. I completely agree. I wasn't really planning to vote for, vote period, I guess, but unless there's like some local candidate that like really inspires me for like city council or something, then which I know there isn't because I know who's running our city council. So
it would have to be us.
Yeah,
we would have to be.
Yeah, it would have to be like a communist candidate. And I know CP as a party, that's not a priority is to run candidates because it's just a waste of time and energy. I know PSL is more into running candidates, and like I said, that's who I'm voting for president is Claudia and
I am as well.
Karina.
That's why I voted last time. I said fuck Biden 4 years ago. I was like fuck Biden.
I voted for Biden in 2020. I got kind of guilt tripped into it, and I regret it.
I just couldn't, man. I couldn't.
Well, let's close it off with Henry Kissinger.
Let's.
Unless you had anything more to add about politics.
Let's get to the absolute war criminal.
Yeah, so we threatened. We didn't promise. We threatened last week that we were going to talk about Kissinger more. He had just died. I think the day, like 30 minutes after the day of, like 30 minutes after we pressed record, or 30 minutes before we pressed record, Kissinger had died, and we had kind of talked about like, well, we weren't really like prepared to like talk about that. We did for a little bit, just a couple minutes. But we wanted to go a little deeper in, and I still don't want to spend too much time. Maybe like we've been recording for about 45 minutes. Let's maybe go to like 10 to 15 minutes of it.
That's all you really need.
I don't want to go too deep because like a lot of people have done a lot more work on this guy, like way more than we could. And way better than we could. I know Behind the Bastards did like a 6-part series on him, so it was like multi-part.
There are many content creators have created beautiful.
Yeah, so if you want to actually get like deep into Kissinger, go somewhere else. But for now, we're happy to give you kind of some highlights. So for those of you who don't know, Henry Kissinger was the Well, he was actually both Secretary of State and National Security Advisor. So he held two positions of power, two incredibly powerful positions within the U.S. government at the same time, which no one's ever done before or since, as far as I'm aware. And that was under Nixon. So he was a German Jew who fled with his family Nazi Germany in the mid-30s. He was born in like the early 20s, so I think he was like 15 or so when his family fled Nazi Germany in the mid to late 30s, came to America. Fun fact, though, he went to Harvard, joined the military, and then actually was stationed in Germany for denazification, like post World War II. So he actually, like, just in a twist of fate, he went back to Nazi Germany as an adult to work for the denazification of Nazi as like a U.S. I don't know what as the U.S. military. I don't know what rank or excuse me, what division or job he had. I didn't look that much into it, but I just thought that was interesting. Anyway, it goes to Harvard, kind of comes up through like the political science world, becomes Secretary of State and National Security Advisor, like I mentioned, under Nixon, and then later Gerald Ford after Nixon's resignation. So he served from 69 to 77. Those years might be, they are important because those are like the years of like the height of Vietnam.
Wasn't he part of Lyndon B. Johnson's as well?
I don't know. I don't think so. He joined...
Because he was working for Lyndon B. Johnson, basically, but then when they saw that Lyndon B. Johnson was not going to do very well and he was not going for re-election, he switched to Nixon. Right?
I don't know. Maybe he was part of the cabinet or part of his political like party or political part of that machine in some fashion, but he came to Secretary of State under Nixon. So I don't know what he did for LBJ prior to Nixon.
I think he was doing something, but I don't think he was Secretary of State.
Well, it was under him, under Kissinger specifically, that like the Vietnam War, first of all, he's the main reason the Vietnam War was as violent and as long as it was. It was prolonged because of Henry Kissinger, and it was exacerbated by Henry Kissinger specifically in the bombing campaigns and the secret war that he started, where they bombed Cambodia and Laos back, basically like the quote was like bomb them back to the Stone Age, and that was not untrue. I think more bombs were dropped in Cambodia than all previous American wars combined, including like World War I, World War II. Like they bombed the amount of like millions upon millions of tons of explosives that were dropped in Cambodia was just astronomical.
And like the death count was ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking like 500,000 people just from the bombings.
Yeah, to say nothing of all the American casualties due to prolonging the war. And also what a lot of people have said now is like that destabilized Cambodia, which led to the rise of Pol Pot and the Khmer Rouge and just the killing fields and just the like 3 million plus murders that followed are all at the hands of Kissinger. Nobody has more blood on their hands in American politics than Henry Kissinger. Like, people can hate Ronald Reagan for all of his policies that have like fucked the world today, which is not untrue, but like the American intervention kind of like
the war machine,
and just that reputation of like, the CIA having its like hand in like coups around the world or whatever.
Yeah.
That is all Henry Kissinger. Speaking specifically, Salvador Allende, democratically elected socialist leader of Chile in the 70s, overthrown, and a military dictator, Pinochet. I'm sure you guys have heard like Pinochet, and then all of the deaths that Pinochet carried out among all of his political enemies, 100% orchestrated and instigated by Henry Kissinger. But there was the Indonesian invasion of East Timor, which is another 200,000 deaths. They supported and kind of planned and helped orchestrate Pakistan's massacre of over 300,000 people in Bangladesh. It's estimated that like Henry Kissinger has over like between 3 to 5 million deaths because of Henry Kissinger, which is like pushing the numbers of like the Holocaust from one man.
It's got to be like, more than that, man.
Yeah, and I think those numbers are soft because that's not really including like I think those aren't including like the results of like Cambodia, like Pol Pot, and like if you add Pol Pot, you're pushing like what is that, like 7 to 8 million, which exceeds the Holocaust. It's not from like the Nazi regime,
from just the Jewish.
Yeah, from just the Jewish part, not from World War II. I mean, that's like 100 millions but that's a separate conversation.
Yeah.
But I mean, like just from like the actual Jewish Holocaust. To put it in perspective, from one man's military and like political actions, as many deaths. Maybe not quite as many, depending if you're looking at a more conservative estimate on like the 3 to 4 million side, but like it's just insane, just like an absolutely despicable monster, war criminal through and through, probably the most like violent and destructive person in American history, in world history maybe. Like, I mean,
I would say Genghis Khan.
Well, Genghis Khan did, yeah,
and
okay.
also Timur the Lame.
Yeah, okay. If we're going all of world history, sure, there are some contenders, but like just this guy, he's definitely on that list. I mean, just absolutely. But I think what's even more remarkable and what's even kind of more disgusting about him is that he never expressed any kind of remorse or like regret. He was like a capitalist through and through. His goal was anti-communism, like his whole life. That was the mission, was anti-communism. He had this way about him that was just very like very sociopathic in like just the way he presented these. If you're familiar with like the phrase realpolitik, like this very shut off from emotions and looking like taking geopolitical and taking political like maneuvering to like regardless of like human suffering, like
as if it's a video game and there's no consequences.
Yeah, like in Ender's Game shit. If you're familiar with like, well, spoilers for Ender's Game, like that concept of like putting it in the like like ignoring human casualties, ignoring human suffering. What gets you what you want? Like how can you instill capitalism? How can you keep the American empire strong, regardless of the consequences? There was a Yale professor who was like a kind of a leading authority. I have a good quote here. Said a remarkable indifference to human suffering. As of speaking of Kissinger, he had a quote remarkable indifference to human suffering. Like I said, he never expressed any kind of regret or remorse. He died peacefully at the age of 100 years old, never seeing any kind of accountability for any of his millions and millions of deaths in his war crimes. So I don't know. We don't. I don't know. I feel like I've just been talking for a while now, but I don't know. There's just so much more to this guy. I mean, he served under 12 presidents. He served from Nixon to Obama. So like. He was in the White House. He
even gave Hillary Clinton the stamp of approval.
Yeah, I mean, this guy, and you're going to see a lot of, if you follow the news, you're going to see a lot of news articles about him saying like he was like complicated or controversial. It's like, no, he wasn't complicated. He wasn't controversial. No. He was an out and out monster. Like this guy was an absolute monster. Like it's just, I mean, I could just keep saying it. It cannot be understated how awful and evil this man was.
This man was truly evil.
Yeah.
I mean, there's guys. What is fucking CIA corporate face? Oh yeah, Johnny Harris, whatever. Have you ever heard of him?
No.
He's a big YouTuber that makes like.
Yeah. Okay, I think the D program were talking about him.
He makes like 20 to 30 minute videos.
Yeah.
The production is fucking pristine.
What's his name? Bad Empanada.
Yeah.
He was talking. They did a little bit about Johnny Harris. Yeah.
Yeah, but dude, this guy's production is amazing. So you want to watch his videos because wow, like the way he puts everything together, or his team. I don't know if he probably doesn't do everything himself.
He probably has editors and stuff.
He makes millions, right? But I'm like, okay, let's see this Johnny Harris video. Let's give it a chance. I know we're not really 100% in alignment, but let's take a look. Fucking first 3 sentences out of his mouth, he's like, "Oh, this man was a problematic man. Some say he was a great diplomat, American diplomat. Others say he was a horrible person." I'm like, "Fuck you." I'm already like, "Fuck you."
Yeah.
Your first sentence out of your mouth should have been, "Henry Kissinger is a fucking war criminal."
Yeah.
If you don't say that, if there's anything besides that, you're basically a fucking evil human being. I'm sorry.
Yeah. 100%. And like what we talked about too, or what I just kind of like ranted about for a while was all of his kind of like highlights, his like the real flashy highlights. But I mean, there's so much more. I mean, like this guy was in China, this guy was in the Soviet Union, this guy was all over the world. Making deals with everybody, kind of like just. I mean, I don't know how much you know about like early 20th century history, and late 19th century. There's a guy named Otto von Bismarck.
From Prussia.
Yeah, who kind of like was just wheeling and dealing with all of the European powers. I mean, that's kind of like, and I think I would venture to say that Otto von Bismarck took kind of another line on that, like realpolitik, that very kind of like just chessboard level kind of thinking of like politics. And it just kind of reminds me a lot of that, of just like this guy, Henry Kissinger, was literally everywhere. Like from 1969 to like 2012 or whatever, Henry Kissinger was like in that country's business. If that country had anything to do with like American interests, Henry Kissinger was there pulling some strings behind the scenes, fucking shit up, doing like, imagine the worst possible decision you can make if all of your decisions are based on what, like, how can you expand American interests, imperialist interests, and like its capitalist interests in the world. What's the worst possible way you could do that? that's the way Henry Kissinger chose every single
What
time.
can we do to make it done in a most sociopathic way possible?
It's completely devoid of like any not even considering the consequences whatsoever.
Because it's like if you want to say America is the beacon of democracy, this man was anti-democracy.
Yeah.
I mean, if you really want to say that, what we're trying to do is spread democracy around the world. It's like, okay, we go to Chile, democratic elected leader gets replaced by a fascist dictator.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, where is the democracy? I thought there was supposed to be democracy, And so it's like, if you really want to stay true to, so-called American democratic principles, Western principles or whatever that you think is the highlight of the world, this man should be your enemy too. He, at every sense of the level, he basically just said, if they don't cooperate with us, kill them.
Yeah.
If they're not on the same page with us,
overthrow them, or find somebody to take them over that will be more friendly or cooperative toward American interests. Yeah.
He doesn't he doesn't care what side you're on. You can be Democrat, Republican. This guy is a capitalist.
And I encourage you, look into Henry Kissinger, read an article. There's a really good Reuters actually put out it's where I got a lot of my information from. Maybe I'll link it in the show notes. But it was a Reuters article, and it just had kind of this bullet point list of his life, and it's very informative, very eye-opening, and also like it's so weird because I think he was on the cover of he was considered. He's a very unattractive man, but this is not super relevant. However, he was considered like an absolute sex kitten. Like he was on the cover of like gentleman magazines and stuff.
He also received a Nobel Peace Prizes.
Oh yeah, in like 73, as I think he was the one who kind of at the end of him prolonging and exacerbating and increasing the Vietnam War, he also then was in negotiations with the North Vietnamese to end the conflict and kind of like pull out, I guess. And so he got a Nobel Peace Prize for ending his own war, which that's kind of a pat on the back. Yeah. That's just patting yourself on the back. Like if you see that meme where it's like Obama like giving Joe Biden the meme, and it's like people at Photoshop where it's just Obama giving Obama the medal. Like that. It's like Henry Kissinger got a Nobel Peace Prize for. I believe, and I'll fact check this, but I believe the Nobel Peace Prize was for like his handling of the ending the Vietnam War or pulling out of the Vietnam War, a war that he not started. I'll give him the credit of at least not starting the war, but like that he completely fucked.
It's like Hitler getting the Nobel Peace Prize.
Yeah,
I mean that's the only way I see it. You know what? The irony is, Hitler also received the Man of the Year, right?
Yeah.
And for like Time Magazine?
Yeah.
Like, what is going on?
Yeah, there's a montage playing on this. It's actually just like that. I'm not reading or watching it, but there's just like a montage playing of Kissinger, and it's just him shaking hands, and it's like he shook hands with like Gorbachev, and then it was like Princess Diane, and then I don't know, it's just random people all over the world, and it's just I don't know.
The funny thing with Gorbachev is that he kind of fucked up the Sino-Soviet relations.
Well, yeah, and I think a lot of that had to do with Henry Kissinger.
Yeah, no, it was.
There he is hugging Gorbachev right there with his fucking birthmark. Yeah. And then I think the next one is him with, I think that's Princess Diana. Yeah. I don't know what this video is. I'll have to watch this video later. It's just a little 2-minute video, but it's just, anti-communist dictatorships, especially Latin America. Yeah, it's just talking about him. Anyway, I don't know how much more there is to say about that. It's pretty frustrating. Definitely look into your Kissinger history. Go watch or read or listen to somebody who talks about him more in depth, because it is important to understand this man. I think it is important to learn about Henry Kissinger. Because I think most school kids won't learn his name. Yeah, really.
Kissinger history is American history.
Yeah, that guy is he's been behind the scenes in American history for 50 plus years. Yeah,
and he's the same type of person who produced fucking Stuart Seldowitz.
Yeah, or what's his name? Stephen Miller, or the guy.
Cheney.
Yeah, Dick Cheney's another big one.
These are the same fucking people.
Donald Rumsfeld and the people from the first Gulf War. It's the same shit. I mean, it's the same kind of
same person always in the back. Just
yeah. I think Dick Cheney is probably the most
notorious.
Comparable, kind of equivalent to Dick Cheney was the president, kind of pulling all the strings behind Bush's 2 presidencies. Did you ever see that movie? Was it just called Dick, I think, or Cheney? It's great.
I'm not looking up Dick the movie. Okay?
No, dude, it's so good. It's Sam Rockwell, I believe, plays George. Oh, it's Christian Bale plays Dick Cheney, and Sam Rockwell plays W. It's so good, dude. It's by I think it's by Adam McKay, who did like The Big Short. Check it out, man. It's amazing. It's a really good it follows the life of Dick Cheney, and like it's not pro Cheney by any means. It's very it's
Good.
great.
Jesus Christ, who the fuck is pro Cheney?
Yeah,
Listen.
Christian Bale does such a good job as Dick Cheney. He has like prosthetics and like fats. I don't know. He probably just gained the weight because he's Christian Bale, but
yeah, it's Christian Bale. He's definitely gained the weight.
Check it out, man. Sam Rockwell just does a killer George W, and it's just so good, man. And like everyone that comes in, like Condoleezza or Rumsfeld or whatever, and it's just all these different people, and it's just all these like very famous like character actors that are just drop in, and it's like it's a comedy, but it's also like it's a dark comedy that follows Dick Cheney's life.
That's interesting. I'll have to see that. I've never seen
check it out. Anyway, I think we're okay to wrap it up here.
Hell yeah.
I've gotten myself, plenty frustrated, but thanks for listening. Thanks for following along. It's been about an hour.
To our weekly rants.
Yeah, I like doing this. But give us a follow. Follow us on social media: Instagram, Twitter, TikTok at Revolutionary Rhetoric Pod. All three, I think, or no, Rev Rhetoric Pod on Twitter, but Revolutionary Rhetoric Pod everywhere else. Subscribe. Make sure you're subscribed on YouTube. Make sure you're sharing that with a friend, liking, commenting.
If you think you can contribute anything to the actual podcast, send us an email.
Yeah, if there's anything you want to hear us talk about, if there's a topic you want us or something that's really specific to you or something, drop it in. We're happy to do it.
Again, if you are a PSL member, send us an email too, so we can have a little conversation.
Yeah, email us at revolutionaryrhetoric@gmail.com.
Yep,
all spelled out. Like I said, on YouTube, just make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Like, comment, and subscribe.
Right, comment and subscribe. Yes.
Subscribe to anything else you want to add, man? I've been looking at this video, man. It just looks clean.
If it isn't for this video, our next video will 100% have a new intro, outro, and logo.
Very cool.
So this one, you might have already seen the intro and outro logo, but we'll see how fast these guys can work. So we've already had like the first version, and they're gonna revise everything, and it'll be cool, man. It'll be cool.
Alrighty, man. Well, hey, have a good one. See you next week.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.